Welcome to another Rugby League Down South podcast. This week on the programme we talk to the South Wales Scorpions coach Mike Grady on their first win of the season. Broncos' Jon Wallace on him pledging the next 2 years of his future to the London club. As Southern teams triumph over Heartlands, we talk to Gloucestershire's Danny Thomas and HEMAL's Eddie MBARAGA, while Pat Cluskey tells us that the new River Stadium developments won't be ready for the end of the season for London Scholars, and the former London Bronco IKRAM Butt on his white ribbon campaign against domestic violence, and some rugby league chat with him too. Thanks once again for downloading the programme. Don't forget this podcast also available on the totalrl.com website. We'll start with a few of your tweets from this week, and one from John at Ian Ramsdale saying, difficult listening to Smokey Jr. talk about his injury in last week's podcast. Gruesome. Get fit soon, says John. Hashtag RLDS. If you fancy tweeting, you can tweet myself directly at Ian Ramsdale or use the hashtag RLDS for Rugby League Down South. You can email rldownsouth@gmail.com. Touch Rugby Kent as well, also getting in touch on Twitter to say, can I get a retweet for Touch Rugby Kent, at Touch Rugby Kent, spreading fitness through rugby league in Kent. Of course, thank you, and good for the plug as well. So if you're down that way, fancy playing Touch Rugby in Kent, get in touch at Touch Rugby Kent on Twitter. Now then, top story on this week's podcast, as promised, Scorpions rugby league coach Mike Grady. Their first win of the season against the London Scholars at the weekend, the game taking place on Saturday. I said all along, we chatted to Mike a couple of times this year, but as soon as they got their first win, he was going to be top story, and here he is, caught up with him. It took us a while to track each other down, but once we coordinated our diaries, managed to have a chat with Mike Grady of the South Wales Scorpions. I don't want to overplay it, and I'm sure you won't overplay the result because it's a long season, but must have been a cracking feeling at the weekend. Yeah,
it was, obviously, as you say, it was an excellent result, and it's just great to get that monkey off our back, if you like. And I knew it was coming. I've said in various previews, interviews, etc., that a performance is due, and unfortunately it come around Sunday. You've been working hard for this, haven't you? We have, yeah. Obviously, people know, but just to remind people, we did have 3 weeks pre-season to get a squad and get going compared to everyone else's 3-4 months pre-season. So we have worked hard. Lads have knuckled down. Coaching staff have knuckled down. So, as you say, it is just great to get that win.
Did you expect it against Scholars? I mean, do you expect it every week? Because, Scholars haven't done particularly well this season. But, they're a big side. They're an experienced side.
Yeah, it's a funny one, really, because, as you say, they are a big side and an experienced side, and they battered us, didn't they, a couple of weeks previous. So, always expecting a tough game in this league. And in my preview, I said anyone can beat anyone, and it did seem that case at the weekend. HEMAL had a good result against Oldham, Gloucester against York, and ourselves against London. So, again, if you're on the ball on the day, the team that makes less mistakes and plays better takes the game, regardless of who you are.
And so this is I guess this is the start of the rest of your season now. Like you say, you got the monkey off your back, and I guess it's a good feeling. It's been good in training this week, and you'll want to continue it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Yeah, there's still no pressure on the boys. I'm just asking for a performance each week, which I've done since day one. And there's no point in us going to Oldham and not backing it up. I'm not saying we're going to come away with a win, but if we can come away with a good performance, anything's possible on the day. And I'm just asking the lads to back it up and not make it look like a one-off against London. And what was the key to that result at the weekend against Scholars? Because obviously you've been working on things, but why was it? What have you put it down to? It's a tough one, really. Previous weeks we've been good coming out our own half, but not so good in the opposition half. So we did work last week on our attack in the opposition half, which against London was fantastic, and everything just seemed to come off. So what we worked on in training just seemed to work, and everything seemed to, all the little things that we've been doing over the weeks just seemed to come together at once.
And we talked about the development in South Wales, and I've talked to various people this year about the development going on in southwest England, and across the south. How is that side of things? Have you managed to sort of concentrate too much attention on that, or has your attention really been on getting this side up to full speed, having had a late start?
Well, obviously, as the head coach, there's a lot of attention on the first team, which is obvious, but I went up with the under-19s to London Scholars before our first team game, and they come away with a 40-0 win. So there's a lot of stuff being done underneath the first team by the under-19s coach, which is John Ellis. So there is a lot of things going on. I've given over 10 lads from the conference the debut in the Scorpions side this year. So we are trying to create a pathway, and as you say, there is things going on a lot lower than first team level, which is good.
If it's not unfair to ask you, how stable is the game now in South Wales? Because it was obviously, big question marks over the closed season. I guess people want to see development and continuation for numerous years. Yeah,
it's getting there. The main issue, well, from my point of view, previous seasons was they had a dual registration link with Wigan. A lot of Wigan players were coming in and out the side, and they brought a lot of Northern lads in, which doesn't give you any continuity whatsoever, because the South Wales boys aren't getting a chance, and there's no chance to build anything. So that's my ethos this season. Just want to use predominantly South Wales boys and build on that, and hopefully come 2-3 years time, the lads that are currently in the squad are competing, and also lads at conference level and are knocking the door down to want to play, because you can see that there's a pathway there. So it will take time, as you say, but as again you've just said, continuity is the key, and hopefully we can get that in place at the club.
It's going the right way off the field as well, in terms of your results going on the field, turning as well. So promising stuff off the field.
Yeah, it's all good. As you say, we're looking for a bit of consistency, continuity, and the way forward is the South Wales based lads. If the local lads aren't, they want to play for the club, and that's the way forward. The under-19s are a very good side. They've had, I think they've won 3 out of 4 of their fixtures. So the youth's there as well, and it's just a case of a bit of continuity, progression, and I think eventually the South Wales will have a competitive side in the league.
And how are you doing for crowds down there? I mean, I've said for many a while that rugby league's a sport obsessed with attendances for some reason, but is the sport well received? I mean, you get fans that come down want to watch you?
Yeah, well, we get. I think the average is around 250, 300 people watching, depending who we're playing. So the crowds could be better, to be honest, but maybe that's a knock-on effect with the results on the field. So if we can string a few results together, we might be able to pull a few more people in. But on that point, there's plenty of people working behind the scenes trying to get the crowds in. So eventually that can be cracked as well, along with the results.
Can you spend sort of much time or money on marketing in South Wales? I guess one of the big ways, and a lot of the Championship 1 and sort of community clubs use it, is that the more people you can get involved in your club, people playing, people helping out, the more spectators you'll get as such, as an indirect response, rather than actually going out and sticking up posters and trying to get people along who are sort of general fans. Yeah, we do have a chap behind the scenes who's responsible for the commercial side of it, but as you mentioned previously, but budget's a massive thing, especially with the club this season. They were close to going out of business, as everyone probably knows, until Wales Rugby League steps in. So the budget's not a massive budget. So we just have to work within our means, which again, as you say, is the academy playing beforehand, the helpers there, the parents there as well. So that's a nice boost for the attendances as well. So and social media as well. Social media is a great way to get in touch with people. So there's ways and means, but there's not a massive budget to do things other than that. I guess it's not the massive concern either, is it? The idea is that the game becomes more sustainable there, and that will bring the crowds in the future. Bringing crowds now isn't going to solve any problems, really. No, it's probably a fair assessment, really. We're working within a budget, and that's probably the main thing. And the club, I don't think's worked within too much of a budget previous times, and they've overspent and paid players over the odds, and we are working within a budget. We've not gone over that budget. And that's for potential investors as well in the future. So if anyone does have a look at the club this season, they can see how it's run. You don't need to lose money. So that's the main thing this year. I think keeping within budget, trying to be as competitive as possible, and going from there. That's Mike Grady of the South Wales Scorpions, doing progressive stuff, I think, in South Wales, spreading the game through, or continuing to build the game, we should say, really, shouldn't we, in South Wales. Great stuff, Mike, and fingers crossed for a few more positive results. Championship 1 looking great this year, isn't it? Some big results. I had a tweet from Troy Perkins, the coach of HEMAL Stags, saying, HEMAL beat Oldham and All Golds beat York. Who would have thought these results would be happening 18 months ago? Absolutely. Troy, thank you for that, and we'll hear from members of the All Golds and HEMAL Stags in the form of Danny Thomas and Eddie MBARAGA of the Stags a little later on in the programme. Now, though, to the Broncos forward Jon Wallace. He became the first of the announcements for the squad for next season. You may have heard from Joe Grimer in the podcast last week about the plans which they've got, so what they're looking to do in the future. So that there were contracts and announcements and signings not too far away. The first one then they announced was Jon Wallace. Young lad, young prop, a number of Super League performances under his belt, also having played for Malta Rugby League and International last year, which of course Joe Grimer's involved with. So maybe it was a purposeful choice. In fact, I think it was a purposeful choice of Joe Grimer to announce Jon Wallace as his first signing for the future going forward of the club. So I thought I'd catch up with him, a man from Croydon Hurricanes a few years ago, coming through the system. So here is a story of Jon Wallace, who's the first man to commit the next 2 years of his future to the London Broncos.
You're the first man, Jonathan, to sign a new contract for Broncos for next season. In terms of the club announcing who they've got on their roster, how come you've decided to stay with the Broncos?
Well, really excited to see how it goes with Joey next year. I've really enjoyed having him as a coach so far, so that was one of the reasons. And also, still a young player, so come through the academy ranks, and just want to see how far I can go as a London player. So.
Well, we'll get into your relationship with Joe in a second, but I guess, as a young player coming through, although it potentially looks like you might be playing in the second tier next year, you want to stay in London to aid your development and continue to learn the game, I guess. You still got aspirations to play in Super League for the future, I guess, but taking it step by step.
Yeah, I think at the moment the best thing for me to do would be to stay at London. I'm at a club where I've got a good relationship with the staff and other players and stuff like that. So in terms of development as well, I think it could even be a good step playing in a league below. So
And so, I guess for your future as well, you consider that Broncos is a good place to keep learning and developing.
Yeah, definitely. If you look at some of the players that have come from the club, the club does produce real good players. So I think if I stay here, I can develop my skills just as they have as well.
And then onto your relationship with the coach Joe Grimer. You've obviously played under him for Malta. Was it nice to see him arrive at Broncos?
Yeah, it's good to have someone familiar there. Didn't really know much of him because when I played for Malta, he was just heading out as coach. But I was familiar with him. Get on really well with him. He's a great coach and a great guy, and he really looks after his players.
And he must have quite a lot of faith in you, because I think I'm right in thinking that he wanted to make yours the first announcement of the players that he has signed up for next year.
Yeah, Joey's always been encouraging towards me and said that I could go really far. That's one of the reasons I've chosen to stand with him. I think he's willing to invest a lot in me. So.
And what about how you got into the game, first of all? I'm right in saying you were with Croydon Hurricanes, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. I actually, I was playing Union to start with at John Fisher School in Croydon. And I started playing rugby league in the off-season to keep fit and stuff. And then I played my first game for Croydon, and the head of youth of Harlequin Tyrrell, Phil Jones, at the time, I happened to come to the game. So he said, come down to training, went from there really, and from then on, from under 16s onwards, just come through the academy ranks of Broncos.
And I guess it's great, we talked about the development structures, people like Phil going out to those games and watching it. Did you know he was there initially?
Oh no, I didn't have a clue he was there initially. He actually came up to me after the game, and so I just played without knowing he was there.
What did he say to you?
Oh, he said, I think you went really well in that game. And would you like to come to training and see how you go? You might get a chance to play for the academy this season. And luckily, I did play. I think it was 2 games in my first season in the academy. Was it
quite a quick turnaround from him coming, seeing you to playing for the academy, or was it a longer, drawn out process?
I think it took about a month from him actually coming to the game to me playing for Quins RL again. My first game was against Wigan.
And that's quick turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering where you were before that.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
And so with this season then, it's not gone exactly to plan for Broncos, but whenever I've been around the training ground, whenever I've spoken to people, whenever I've done the interviews, there seems to be a strange positivity that, okay, maybe things haven't been the right way results-wise, and everyone's always striving for a better performance, but that somehow there's a positivity building from the position the club were in, and that the club is going back in the right direction.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those situations where you've just got to go forward and make the best out of what you have. And I think everyone's done really well to pull together. Like, at the start of the season, no one even knew each other. We didn't have a full pre-season, and so from my perspective, everything to be a club that has competed in Super League games to a decent standard is quite a big achievement. And I do feel a win is coming.
It's a big game, isn't it? This weekend, Friday night, away at Wakefield.
Oh yeah, massive game. Everyone's like really up for it, and training's been real good this week. So it just feels like we've been building towards something. So hopefully we can bring something special out on the weekend.
You've had a few narrow defeats. I was at the game against Huddersfield, a team that I think many people ahead of the game thought would be comfortable winners. And I mean, are there any games, or is that a game that particularly you draw on the positives from, or are there other games this season where the squad have gone, we were almost there, we almost had it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like there's been glimpses, I think, in pretty much all the games of where we've shown we can compete. And yeah, Huddersfield's one where we could draw confidence from. Also Catalan at Magic Weekend, where we came on really strong and almost got the victory. There's only 2 points in that. So yeah, I think there's been glimpses, but obviously there has been blows. But I think if we keep building on each performance and just taking the positive aspects from it, we'll be able to get an all-round good performance.
It must have been difficult for players like yourself in the off-season when there was such uncertainty around the club and its future. What did you think at that time? Were you worried that you might not have a Super League gig for this year?
Yeah, I actually I'd applied for uni anyway, and I deferred to play another season of rugby. So I was worried, but I thought if everything doesn't go well, I'll just go to uni and take another path, really. So that's where I was at. And where
were you going to go, and what were you going to study?
I was going to study psychology at the University of Leeds.
I guess you'd carry on playing rugby league while you were there as well. Good choice of Leeds.
Oh, yeah,
I went there.
Yeah, I would have tried to maybe pick up a club up there as well. Yeah.
And just saying that I went to Leeds University. What did you have you been there? Have you had a look around? What did you like about it?
It's a real good city. It's similar to London in that there's a lot to do, but it's all in a small compact, so probably easier. And the city's real nice and culture and stuff.
And looking, obviously, as we do back at that time, now you're looking forward with a new contract. There has been, I think, some of the fans, sometimes a little bit worried about the future of the club, but I guess people signing contracts and the club signing you up for 2 years shows that there is a plan to keep this club going and to build.
Yeah, definitely. There's everyone at the club and all the staff and the players that do want to stay on are all looking towards it. Obviously we have to focus on this season, but there is a mentality that we're going to go forward and we're going to carry on no matter what happens, so, which is good to see. I wouldn't have signed a contract if I didn't have faith in the club to go forward.
And how big would a win be against Wakefield on Friday? Like we say, it's an important game. They're all important games. They're all tough games as well. But this squad, it just seems like the thing they're missing so far this year is that 2 points, that win. Oh yeah, a win would be great. It would just, for one, it would. We've got all the self-belief we need, I think. But it would be good to just prove some naysayers wrong and. It would be like an accumulation of everything that's happened so far to get our first win. And I think once we do get that win, I think things will go a bit different from there. So it's just a matter of when, really. Good to chat to Jon Wallace. Good to have the
young guys involved at Broncos pledging their future to the club and sticking around to aid their development. It shows that they believe in the system that's happening. Fingers crossed it can be supported over the next couple of years too. Let's go then back into Championship 1 and hear from a couple of the clubs who had great results at the weekend. One of them was the All Golds. They beat York at the weekend. I've been chatting to their fullback, Danny Thomas.
What an amazing win of the weekend. Great result for you.
Oh, really good win, yeah. I think lads started believing themselves a bit more. I think we played them at home first game of the season and we nearly got the win then. And I just think since Steve's come in, it's just give that belief in themselves.
You're doing really well at the moment, and it sounds like you're all enjoying your rugby.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I say, since Steve come in, it's a lot more relaxed atmosphere and people are coming to training with a smile on their faces and it's going well so far.
What's Steve done differently with you?
He's just made it really simple, broke it down, and he's realised what we're doing wrong, and he's just been correcting his game individually, doing individual video sessions with people and helping people that way.
Because I spoke to him at the his first game in charge when you were away at Scholars, and he's really enjoying it. He's enjoying being back in the game, and he's a very knowledgeable man, isn't he?
Yeah, he definitely is. He knows his rugby league, and I think he'll be enjoying it because all the lads are willing to learn. They're all relatively new to rugby. A lot of them come from rugby union. We've got a few student lads, and they're all willing to learn all the time and willing to find out new things. And Steve's the right man to do it.
What's been your route to playing in the shirt and adorned with the golden fern?
I came down in pre-season just training really with my best mate Matt Barlow, just trying to get me back involved in the game, and came down in a couple of sessions and Ben Happy then wanted to sign me straight away, so took it from there really. I've been just loving it, loving being back involved in this sort of environment, and just can't wait to play every week now. As soon as the game's finished that week, I just want to get the shirt back on and play again the week after.
Where have you been previously before playing for the All Golds?
I went professional game when I was a bit younger, but then I just started all over again really, and from being 20 to 25 I didn't really play much of it all, and then I just went back to play for the local team in Dewsbury.
And then obviously have you moved down to Gloucestershire?
No, I commute. There's about 8 of us from up north that travel together, so we come down every Friday for training, and obviously again for the weekend game on Sunday. Must
be a bit raucous travelling all down together. Are you in a big minibus?
No, we travel down in cars, but it flies. We have a right laugh, and it's good. We're all positive people, and it's good. We have a good laugh, and like I said, time flies when we're on our way down. I've
got visions of it being like Top Gear with two cars and a bit of a CB radio communication between the two cars and having fun. I mean, drive down in convoy, or are you separate journeys?
Oh, we come down separately. So we've got some lads from Halifax, and I'm from Dewsbury, and we've got some lads from Hull as well. So, but yeah, we have a crack on way down, and time it does it flies when we're on our way down there. So it's not an issue. It's not an issue at all.
What have you made of the sport in Gloucestershire? They're making good strides forward.
Oh yeah, really good strides. A lot of people behind the scenes that are making a lot of noise about it and getting into schools, and it just proves with took a couple of lads who played in first team at weekend. We Frank Francis and Dan Tonks. They did really well. They stepped up from 19's academy, and they proved that they showed their worth and could play them every week, and they stood up for themselves. Did really well. There's a lot of local talent in the area.
And what do people say to you about playing now? Not in your heartlands, not in Dewsbury, not in Leeds, not anywhere around there, but travelling to play in the All Golds, down in Gloucestershire.
Yeah, as soon as I say I play for Gloucestershire, first thing I say is rugby union, and I said no. I laugh and I said no, it's rugby league that I'm playing, and they don't really heard about it. But I think because now Steve's took over, Steve's a big name in rugby league. I think people are starting to listen a bit more, and especially after the result on the weekend. A bit more aware of us, and I think a bit more aware of us as well.
I was going to say, you're doing well on the pitch, and that's usually what gets the most attention, isn't it?
Yeah, results. And I think we find it season, I think there's going to be a few more shot results.
I'm told as well that the under-20s take on Cumbria Academy this weekend, and the under-16s are taking on Featherstone Rovers. It must be great to see these sides below the level that you're playing at coming through,
Yeah, it's great. That's what it's all about, getting the young ones through and getting the local lads through as well. And with them two lads that played us on weekend, like I said, the talent's definitely in the area.
That's Danny Thomas of the All Golds here on Rugby League Down South. Still to come, we'll hear from Pat Cluskey of London Scholars about their stadium developments, and also from IKRAM Butt, the former London Broncos man. But while we're in Championship 1, let's hear from Eddie MBARAGA of the HEMAL Stags. In fact, Danny Whizzer on Twitter mentioning to me, well done to the Scorpions. I think the All Golds did well to beat York too. Indeed they did, but a win for HEMAL. They beat Oldham. Amazing win at Oldham. So here is the man who's been at HEMAL for a number of years now, a name I've seen on many a match report. So I thought I'd catch up with Eddie MBARAGA of HEMAL Stags. Must have been a good day for you on Sunday.
Yeah, it was. It turned out how we thought it should have gone. We thought we should have beat them up at Oldham, whereas on Sunday we were on form and we just gave it to them with everything we had.
You've had a few good results this year. What was key to the performance and the result on Sunday?
I think it's more so there's just a team gelling. Like I know a lot of teams would say this, but we're actually like all mates and all quite close knit. So I think it's just a matter of us, like, over the season we've gelled and we're starting to like play for each other more than for ourselves, and the spirit in the teams is amazing. It's probably the best situation I've ever been in at a club, where everyone's actually friends and not just in it with a couple of their friends or in a clique. We're actually just all mates. In fact, at the minute we're all going to celebrate Jimmy Hill's 21st birthday.
Oh, fantastic. How long have you been with HEMAL now?
I think I'm going on about 6 years now, 6-7 years.
Must be. Is it any different playing in the semi-professional ranks as for when it was the conference?
Yeah, just the level of professionalism is a lot higher. Like in terms of your commitment to making every training session, whereas in the conference you could have missed a couple here and there. At the minute, if you miss a training session, there's boys fighting for your spot and trying to win your shot.
It makes for better competition, I guess.
Yeah, it does, and it makes for like everyone being on top of their game every week, as opposed to having a bad week or not going well one week. You want to keep your shirt and you want to keep playing with your mates, so you're trying your hardest every time you get on the paddock.
What was your route into rugby league?
I first started playing rugby union actually when I was a kid growing up. I grew up in Kenya, and my dad was a Kenyan international, and I started playing rugby union. And then we moved over to England when I was about 7, 8, and there was a coach had this rugby league camp, and I went, and ever since then I've been in love with rugby league.
What have you made of what Troy's done in the semi-professional ranks now? Because you had a good season last year, you got into the playoffs, but it does seem like this year you've progressed a little further as well.
I think a lot of credit has to go to Troy. He knows his stuff when it comes to rugby league, and I think with the help of Jermaine, who's obviously known the league a bit over the years as well, I think together they make quite a good team, and sort of educating us on what we have to do and where we have to be in order to compete in the games.
And as for the rest of the season, what's the aim this year? I guess you want to do playoffs and one better this year.
Well, we honestly feel like on our day we can actually beat anyone. No teams, we don't go into any games with fear or trepidation of losing. Like even this weekend against Hunslet, we honestly believe we can go there and get a positive result, which for us is a win. So in terms of the season, I suppose that means we're aiming for promotion.
Some of these northern teams are getting a bit surprised, aren't they? I mean, the southern teams are doing well recently.
Yeah, I know. The Gloucester result of the weekend was a brilliant result, and it just shows there's a lot of rugby talent down south, and it's not all around the M62.
Do you reckon that seasons like this and results like we saw at the weekend shows that what the game is doing to bring in other areas is a good step and the right step?
Yeah, I think it's been there for a while. There's only ever been the opportunity for players to go to, say, Scholars or London Broncos, and those who haven't sort of meshed in or fitted in there haven't had anywhere else to go and showcase their talent. So I think the fact that there's more teams for players to show off their skills is only going to be beneficial, and I don't think the talent pool's gonna shrink or anything. If anything, it's gonna get bigger because all these teams just giving loads of southern lads an opportunity to play rugby league.
Because I get the inter-team competition between the teams that have been established in the south is quite high now as well. Like you say, players having previously with really no options of where to go now have numerous options, and that in itself has created competition.
Yeah, I think personally, I think it's brilliant. I think it's amazing how a player who probably wasn't playing their best at, say, for example, at Scholars, can come to HEMAL and be a starting player and be doing really well in the league.
And that's only going to get better in the future, isn't it? With the amount of players and the progression and the level of competition.
Yeah, I think it will, and I think there's going to be a few more shocks in terms of the talent down south, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the next few years to playing for a team down south.
That's Eddie MBARAGA of the HEMAL Stags talking about their victory and his history in playing for the Stags for this season. Best of luck to him in the rest of the season. London Faithful saying on Twitter, at Ian Ramsdale, he was at Weald Warriors versus Medway Dragons for the South East Cup semi-finals. Fantastic game. I think he said it's the real South East derby, Kent derby. Medway winning by 2 points in extra time. Sounds like an awesome game. London Faithful, thank you for that. And on the subject of Championship 1, while we've heard from numerous of the southern teams, in fact all but Oxford featuring in our podcast this week, I had a couple of messages. One from Stu on Twitter saying New River Stadium will not be ready this season. The pitch will be ready by the 15th of the 8th, but the Olympic Suite, which is where they host sort of things inside the stand, won't be ready until October. No alternative venue confirmed, but they wish to stay. It was in the match day programme on Saturday, the defeat that they had to South Wales Scorpions. Stu says, nice venue, poor performance. So I thought I'd just clarify the situation by talking to the commercial manager at London Scholars in Pat Cluskery, who explains what's going on with the 4G pitch being laid at the New River Stadium, but it's unlikely that they're going to play there again this year. Here is the commercial manager of Scholars, Pat Cluskery. Well, just give us the update, Pat, on where you're up to with the New River. It's being redeveloped at the moment, but possibly taking a bit longer than you thought.
I think the problem we have is the pitch is undergoing. Sorry.
Sorry. No. I was I just sneezed in the background, so we'll have to do that again anyway. But yeah, just give me an update on where you're up to now with the pitch.
Pitch is ongoing at the moment. We've had the contractors in now for about 2 or 3 weeks. All the grass has gone and they're currently levelling it out. One assumes then that they'll be putting the surface down, the floodlights up. Pitch is scheduled to be completed by the end of July, and the usage for ourselves is in the middle of August. Unfortunately, part of the development is the Olympic Suite, where obviously we have our bar and club room, I guess, on match days. And the work on that hasn't started as yet and may not start for another 4 weeks or so. But what it does mean is it won't be in operation for Friday Night Lights on the 22nd of August. And consequently, it looks like that game will have to be played at an alternative venue.
So you're looking to move, what, a couple more games potentially? Or just one?
Yeah, hopefully a couple more games. 10th of August and the 22nd of August. They're the two fixtures which we haven't arranged as yet. We had obviously planned to play them back at the New River on the new pitch. But we think that's unlikely now, given that whilst the pitch won't be able to the 15th, that rules out the game on the 10th of August straight away. It would mean the pitch is available for the 22nd, but we'd have no facilities on site, and with expecting a decent 4-figure crowd the night before Wembley, then we obviously need somewhere to house the supporters come down. And we take part in the other events. It's not just about the first team game. There's a real ale festival. There are some Masters games being played as curtain raisers. And also there's potentially a couple of junior games going to take place on the Friday afternoon with teams coming down from the north to take on Scholars teams, part of a festival of rugby league. So at the moment, that's not going to be happening at the New River, and we're currently in discussions to try and sort out an alternative venue for the game.
As you mentioned, I guess it's a bigger problem, isn't it? Because of Friday night lights and the amount of people that you have there. You had another game at Enfield Town at the weekend. I was there at the first one. It all went very well. Did it all go well at the weekend? I mean, is there potential to play more games there? I know that obviously football season returns sort of around that time, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, once again, everything went fantastically well off the pitch. Unfortunately, we didn't do so well on the pitch. But what we are looking at, we have spoken to Enfield Town. Obviously, people are going to the matches there. They are enjoying the games and the facilities. But the two issues we have, one is the fact that the football season kicks off on the 9th of August, we're game on the 10th, and then potentially Enfield could have a home game on the 23rd of August, and we play on the 22nd on a Friday night. Now, whilst stadia like KC or John Smith or DW will have enough ground staff to turn the pitch around in 12 to 18 hours, that's not something that Enfield Town are blessed with. But to their credit, Jack Lucas, the groundsman, and the safety officer have both indicated that they would be happy to work to whatever time it takes on the day before or the day afterwards, between which game it is, to ensure that both a football and a rugby league fixture could take place within the space of one day. We're just now waiting for the Enfield Town board to discuss it. Also, we need their approval. And we're hoping that representation can be made to the Ryman League, that that fixtures for Enfield Town can be accommodated so that on the 9th of August they're away, and then 2 weeks later on the 23rd they'll be away. But at the moment we don't know that, and their fixtures aren't due out until next month anyway. So we're really pressing for an answer sooner rather than later. As I said, the groundsman and the safety officer are quite confident of being able to deliver on that side of things, and if we get the approval of the Enfield Town board, we can then start making preparations for that fixture, or those fixtures rather.
And you mentioned it briefly, but I know it's not particularly, your domain. You're looking at off the field stuff. But what's going on the field? A defeat to South Wales at the weekend. The side at the moment not quite finding the form that many think they should be.
I also think, apart from our perspective, you've got to look at South Wales. I mean, the week before they only just lost to the All Goals by 2 points, and the All Goals showed against ourselves. And obviously this weekend against York, their abilities. Obviously, you've got Steve McCormack in there now. So, South Wales obviously must have been improving to run the All Goals close. And, I think even at the weekend, to be fair, it was 18-14, probably 10 minutes into the second half. And then they got 2 tries, and I think probably heads went down a little bit. And their confidence was immense. I mean, obviously they'd not won for nearly 12 months. And then suddenly with maybe 20-25 minutes to go, and to be up by 30 points to 14, I think it certainly spurred them on, and perhaps our heads went down a little bit. But it's every as they discovered, every losing run has to end somewhere. Ours will hopefully end at Oxford at the weekend. The players will be in training on Tuesday night. I could tell after the game from the reaction of certain players that they were disappointed, probably not just with themselves but with the team as a whole. We'll just look to go again. It's sport. It happens. Anybody who thinks otherwise, obviously, they've not been involved as much in sport. But teams will go on winning streaks. They go on losing streaks, and we just need things to click into place, as you mentioned, and we can hopefully move on. And with the good thing this weekend with some of the results is that we're still in with a chance of the playoffs. It's hard work. Nobody's denying that. But again, with the top teams losing, albeit they got bonus points, it compacts the top of the league, and there's not a great deal of difference between where we are and a win at the weekend against Oxford by enough points will probably put us one place further up. And once we've got to that position, we then need to look at the next one. Just take little bite-sized chunks and just keep progressing, week by week. And Joe's been in today. He's got DVDs. He's working very hard to try and identify weaknesses and to look at ways of improving the squad. And if that can be done, it will be done.
Because I think if there's one thing that I've learnt over the years doing this programme is that Hector McNeil, one of the top men at Scholars, doesn't like losing, does he?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, none of us do. None of us do. And again, sometimes you can lose well, I guess, a bonus point and a late try against you. You can lose badly. And I think, the weekend everybody probably thinks, oh, well, South Wales are bottom of the league, so therefore it's a bad defeat. But, they have been improving over the last few weeks. And I hope, that our players will take some encouragement to see how, after such a run of bad form, South Wales can turn it around. And, we will look to do the same this weekend over at Oxford.
Pat Cluskey of the London Skolars just giving the latest on the new River Stadium developments, and it looks like, well, fingers crossed, they can continue to play at Enfield Town. Everyone I talk to thinks that the facilities at Enfield Town are great. Would be good to have Friday night lights there as well, but of course, as Pat says, quite a lot to still be confirmed or decided or negotiated possibly over the next couple of weeks. We should probably mention as well in the podcast here on Rugby League Down South that Bradford's 6-point deduction stands. Their appeal against the deduction was thrown out. Realistically, it only maintains the chance that Broncos might not finish bottom of Super League for this year, but it's still, I mean, it will help their case to an extent, but had they had the 6 points given back, then it would have meant that Broncos would finish bottom. Big game, as you mentioned, with Jon Wallace earlier against Wakefield this Friday. Nigel on Twitter saying no help to Broncos apart from aiming to keep the record of never finishing bottom. Absolutely. There's little else to change what's happening at the bottom of Super League. May have made it interesting with them and Wakefield as the season ran in, possibly, if they got the 6 points back. Well, they haven't got them back. The RFL are pleased with, obviously, their decision upheld by an independent panel. Bradford still looking to potentially find a way around it, if you read between the lines of their statement. Now, finally, to IKRAM Bott, a player of Broncos, a good few years ago now, but I bumped into him quite by chance in my office at BBC London. He was actually he come in to talk to Vanessa Feltz. It's a long story, but basically he's got a campaign which is raising the profile of domestic violence around big sporting events, with it being, of course, the Football World Cup for the next month. So, while I bumped into him, I had a quick chat, I had a quick catch-up, and I thought I'd record a quick interview with him. So here is IKRAM Bott and me, a sporadic interview in the middle of the office, having bumped into him just earlier on today. He's the former Broncos man. IKRAM, I've just bumped into you in the BBC London studios. You've come in today. Just tell us what you're all about. You've got the White Ribbon campaign.
We have we know the Football World Cup's going on, and unfortunately, the stats tell us that whenever England win, never mind lose, domestic violence rises a great deal to 33% and above. So the campaign we're supporting is a global campaign, part of a global campaign made up of men speaking out against domestic violence against women in all its shapes and forms. So we're here to show our support.
So you come in to talk to Vanessa Feltz, but while you're here, I thought I'd grab a quick chat with you because, like you say, I guess it doesn't just go with football, it goes with all sport as well, which obviously crosses into the stuff you do in rugby league. It
does, and we can play our parts. The sporting agenda, it's a proven fact that whenever there's a sporting agenda, a sporting event, it rises, so that could be rugby as well. And it is as well. We need to look at that and address that as a governing body and professional and amateur clubs play our part to stop this horrific crime happening to females and the impact it has on children, boys and girls. So that's what we're here to do.
And you've given me one of your white ribbons with a rugby ball in it, and I'm right in saying Billy Slater wore one of these?
Yes, it was good to see Billy wearing the white ribbon when he was interviewed during the last Four Nations. But in Australia and New Zealand in particular, the white ribbon is taken very seriously, as here as well. But to an extent where the Australian team wore the white ribbon on their rugby jerseys, and they have a number of ambassadors, and we will hopefully introduce the white ribbon into our sport. We already know there's a few clubs, professional clubs, supporting it, doing a lot of good work around that area, and it's only a matter of time where the message gets across, because the reality is it rises when there's a football event happening or other sporting event, but it's happening all year round on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out, and we need to recognise that and put a stop to it. The sooner we do, the better.
And obviously, I keep seeing your name crop up in press releases and on stories here and there. You're still well involved, aren't you, with the rugby league?
I am, and we are. I'm very fortunate that the rugby league has given me so much throughout the years, and still continues to do not just the work, but the enjoyment and the enthusiasm still there, and we still have a large part to play. It's a great game. We have a great product, and our key area is to make it more inclusive, and we like to play our parts in the best sport in the world.
With your rugby league hat on, even, where do you stand these days on Super League? Who's your team? Do you have a team? Well, obviously you played for a few, so I mean, do you stick with one?
Good question. I'm fortunate to play for a number of clubs, and all the clubs I look back with fond memories. My hometown is Leeds, born and bred. But I have to say, when I look back on my career, the best and fondest times was at the great club Featherstone Rovers, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and still have a very close relationship with the fans and club officials, as well as all the clubs: Leeds, London, Featherstone, Huddersfield, and last club was Hunslet. I mean, at one time I thought I was going to just stay at one club, but then things change, as we know. But I can look back. We don't look back with regret. We look back and take the positives out of all the situations, and try to support and assist other individuals in similar situations, circumstances. And I just wish, and it's good to see. I know we have difficult times, but it's great to see clubs doing well. And as you all know, we all go through phases, and no doubt all the clubs will come back stronger.
Well, that's it. You mentioned Featherstone. I mean, the rejig of the league, the promotion and relegation coming back. Great opportunity for them, isn't it, to sort of try and push themselves where they think they belong, back in the big time.
Indeed, and that's where they truly belong. We all know about the tradition of the club, the history, the great players, the big names, and the coaches, and they deserve it more than. Well, they do deserve it. I think it's unfair to say other clubs, but they do deserve it. They've worked hard behind the scenes. Their business plan looks very effective. They're doing a lot of stuff on the field and off the field too, which is criteria we all know for the Super League regulations. And it looks like they can be a force to be reckoned with, and they prove it on the field and off the field too.
What do you make of the current plight of the London Broncos? They've obviously had much more higher times than what they're going through at the moment. It can't be nice seeing them go through this.
Not at all. I think any rugby league fan, and particularly somebody who has played for the club, it is heartbreaking at times to follow, see and listen to what's happening. At the same time, all credit to the club who have dug deep over the years, the players, the coaches, and all the people involved, the spectators. Let's not forget the spectators. Without the spectators, there is no club. And I do know when I was down there, there is a lot of passion, enthusiasm, and they deserve it more than anybody else. As I mentioned, we go through phases. I have no doubts they will be a club to come out stronger. We talk about expansion, and I do believe that we need to look at the clubs and not forget our history and traditions. I'm a big believer in that, but I'm also a big believer in expansion. And rugby league needs a club in London. We need London Broncos, and I hope to see them back in full flight.
And I remember reading your book, various stories that have happened while you've been in the game. Is there one particular story about being in London or at the Broncos that you recite and tell many people from time to time?
Well,
I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah, well, we used to have a Man Mondays on a Monday when Tony Curry was the coach, and but I'm sworn to secrecy of what happened on the Mondays. But it was a difficult time when I came to London. We had some great times and not so great times, but that goes with all the clubs. It happens everywhere you go. But when you come away, you look back and lots of friends, players, some of the spectators and the background staff, we still connect with each other when we see each other, and that's the beauty about our game. Making lots of friends, meeting new people, and always welcomed whenever I'm down south. So the secrets remain within, but a new book is coming out. We're working with Howard and Phillips again, Tony Hannam, who goes right to the first book, Smashing Individual, and we're looking at, because it's really difficult, I mean, what can you say in 12 chapters? Not a great deal, and there's lots. I know one of the reasons why we wrote the book initially was a lot of things that we're trying to do and what we have written, a couple of papers, just gone astray and not acted upon. And I thought if we write something in a book form, it's there, and hopefully people take heed and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to say that we didn't get the opportunity to do. So the second book will allow us to relay some of our experiences, positive and negative, and some of my thoughts about how the game should move forward and why hasn't it moved forward the best it could have done. But in all fairness, whether we agree with it or not, I think our game is in a much better position than it has ever been. We've had a great World Cup. Okay, some of the clubs are struggling, but that's just the nature of how things go. If the clubs get their house in order, get support from the right mechanisms, I'm sure they'll be back to the best.
Former London Bronco player IKRAM Bott now doing very many things, still involved, of course, still keeping his eye, and very much a big supporter of rugby league, and wants to see Broncos prosper. As he says, their time will come again in the future, fingers crossed. Just worth mentioning, while we're on the subject of my day job, that I had a chat with the sprinter Tajindu Uja the other day. He's become the third quickest Briton over the 100 metres of all time. He ran a sub 10 second 100 metres just this week. Only 5 British athletes have done that, but I had a message on Twitter from James Massara, former player performance manager at London Broncos, said that he's a former student at the college that he's now teaching at. He was there 2 years ago. Everyone speaks highly of him here, says JMO. He's still not as quick as us though. Right, he says. No, true. And we carry a rugby ball at the same time, JMO, so of course still not quite as quick as us, but well done to Chindu Uja, who ran under 10 seconds for the 100 metres. And that's it for this week's Rugby League Down South podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be back with another one next week.